Nicole Ramirez. I'm a city commissioner in the city of San Diego. In the 1970s, I worked with Harvey against Anita Bryant campaigns and also John Briggs. The Briggs Initiative was an initiative to remove all homosexuals from the schools, be you teachers, cafeteria workers, and it was on the ballot. And so Harvey was kind of the state leader, and I in San Diego, so we worked together. I was introduced to Harvey by Jose Sierra, who was the first openly gay candidate to run for public office in 1961, paving the way for Harvey and Tammy Baldwin and everyone, John Heilman, everybody. The Briggs, I think Anita Bryant and John Briggs awoken the sleeping giant of the GLBT community, because we knew we were fighting for our lives. Anita Bryant's campaign was called Save Our Children, and she was getting anti-homosexual initiatives, civil rights. There were cities across the country that were starting to have non-discriminatory policies against homosexuals. She was leading the crusades to wipe them out, to defeat them, to have recalls on these initiatives. And John Briggs' initiative in our most progressive state of California was on the ballot. He got enough signatures, and if it would have passed, it would have removed every homosexual teacher and principal and school worker, janitor within the public school system within the state of California.
Perfect. So it's very important to stop that immediately.
Yeah. It was a wake-up call for all of us that we definitely had to mobilize and defeat and educate people, the citizens of California, about that we were their neighbors, their co-workers, their family. Oh, I loved Harvey. Harvey had the greatest sense of humor. When I met Harvey, I was a preoperative transsexual, and I lived as a woman for 5 years. And Harvey, that's how I met Harvey. And he just had the greatest sense of humor, and we got loaded together sometimes too. He was a very down-to-earth person. Harvey Milk was a visionary. You've got to remember the 1970s. Harvey believed in coalition building. He believed that gay rights weren't the only thing that we should focus on. So he made an outreach to the farm workers at Cesar Chavez and worked with him and Dolores Huerta to help the Mexican and Filipino farm workers. And he also advocated, when he was in office, for rent control for seniors, for working families. So why he was a visionary is that people at that time, gay leaders, were saying, oh, just stick to gay rights and homosexual civil rights. Harvey said, no, all the other issues are our issues. Well, first of all, the drag and trans community has a rich history within the GLBT civil rights movement. You've got to remember, think about it, that at Stonewall it was drag queens and trans, along with what I lovingly call our dyke lesbian sisters. The trans and drag community have been a very important part of our revolution, the start of it, our Boston Tea Party, as it were, Stonewall. When you think that a drag queen also was the first candidate to run for public office that was gay, openly gay, 1961, Jose, the Empress of San Francisco. So the trans and drag queen communities helped build our movement. Many times people say, well, why should we have trans and drag queens at the table of our civil rights movement? And I always tell them, we built that table. Well, yeah, I come from the 1960s and 70s. You have to remember, in California, the most progressive state, that it wasn't until 1976 that homosexuality was legal. So think about it. Before 1976, at a stroke of a pen, your parents, a judge, could send you to a mental hospital. I had many friends that were sent to a mental hospital just because they were homosexual by the signature of their parents or a judge. And they were subjected to lobotomies and electric shock treatment, never to return the same. They never returned the same. This was going on across the country because homosexuality was considered almost a deviant, and it was against the law. And mental hospitals is where many homosexuals were sent. Well, I always say that a community, indeed a civil rights movement, that does not know where it came from, doesn't know where it's going. We all stand on the shoulders of gay and lesbian, bisexual, and transgender pioneers and heroes who, as I said, in the 60s and 70s, it was against the law for them to march in the first pride parades, for them to demonstrate and fight. They could have been and were arrested. There were cross-dressing laws where you could be arrested for wearing the clothing of the opposite sex. To me, I was out because I was a trans and a drag queen. The real heroes were the ones that had a job and were going to school and college and were out and were proud who they were, because I had nothing to lose. They had much to lose. And we should never forget that our movement also began because of police harassment. We should understand the Black Lives Matter movement because our civil rights movement became alive because we fought back against police brutality. Now times have changed, and thank goodness there's many cities where we not only have gay and lesbian police officers, but like here in San Diego and other cities, we have trans police officers. Yeah, we Americans have to really have a conscience that the fight for GLBT equality, we are a global family. There are no borders when it comes to our family. The fight that currently our brothers and sisters are having in Africa and Russia is our fight. And we should be supportive of them, and we should go out of our way to support them and show our support. The Harvey Milk Foundation, which I'm the national board of, is very proud of Stewart Milk, who has become a global icon already as he goes into cities and countries across the world where he is the first American gay rights leader that has come and gives them hope of that America is concerned and that your fight is our fight. Well, growing up in the 60s and 70s, I never thought that homosexuality had to be legal, let alone gay marriage. But I've got to say something. I'm more concerned about our youth. As someone who's come out in the 60s and 70s, our GLBT youth are coming out in their middle school. They're demanding to be prom kings, to hold hands and everything. As much as we focus on gay marriage, we've got to focus on our youth. Why do we tell our youth, come out of the closet and think, and then there's no help for them? We need to have more infrastructure and organizations for our young people. They are coming out at ages we never thought of. They're proud of who they are, and what are we doing about that? Are we ready for all these youth to come out? No, we're not. In fact, we're saying, oh, great, patting them on the head, thank you for coming out, yet there's no support, not the focus. Think about it. If we would have spent just 1/4 of what we spent on gay marriage on our youth and programs to help them and assist them, we'd be a long ways, because our youth with a suicide rate aren't never going to see marriage. Many of them don't, because they have no support as much as we should. And that is, I'm very concerned about that. In my travels, I see youth coming out at ages that's mind-boggling and holding hands in schools, things I would never think of doing. And yet our youth organizations or programs are not what they should be.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Sure.